Yes, guys, what's happening? And welcome back to the channel and welcome to the live stream for the preview of the Carabao Cup semi-final second leg between Chelsea and Tottenham, taking place at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, also known as 3 Point Lane. A happy hunting ground for the Blues over the years. We've won there already earlier in the season with I think we won 3-0 in the end, with a dominant second half performance when we switched to a 3-5-2 formation. So more of the same tomorrow. Taking a 2-0 lead would be fantastic. So I was going to, as I say, preview the game, give my thoughts on the main areas that the game could be won and lost in, obviously pick my predicted lineup. But before we get going, I just want to dive a bit more into a bit of transfer news. I spent time yesterday on the stream with journalist Jamie Wilkinson discussing the wing-back situation, etc. So guys, do check back on that video to get some more in-depth analysis. But been reported today, obviously well known that Emerson, Chelsea want to recall him. Tuchel is keen to bring him back. It kind of makes sense from a financial perspective that if we can recall Emerson, to do that rather than go and spend 25-30 million on Lucadinha. So we are exploring that option. Fabrizio Romano today saying that Chelsea have had a couple of offers of 4 million euros, so about £3 million compensation to Lyon. Just brought it up on the screen now. It's obviously not easy to bring them down. We've had 2 approaches turned down. I'm not sure how much more we will offer. There is also a plan B in the list, according to Fabrizio. So I'll be interested to find out in the coming days and weeks, perhaps, what the plan B in the list is for the left wing back role. I don't expect Lewis Hall to suddenly feature more prominently as good as his debut was. So I'll be interested to see. Again, I don't know how long we carry on pursuing Emerson for. I said no twice. I mean, how much more money do we need to offer? I wonder if things might differ slightly if Lyon can find themselves a suitable replacement. But yeah, Emerson is obviously one of their better players. They struggled this season. And if they've got any chance of getting into the top 4 and qualifying for the Champions League through the French league, then they really do need to keep hold of him. But yeah, that's a little update on the Emerson situation. We had 2, Lyon said no twice, offering about £3 million, 4 million euros compensation for him. And other transfer news as well. It's been reported that, myself and Jamie, again, chatting last night on the stream, it might not be a popular opinion, I've seen it criticised on Twitter, but Adama Traore of Wolves, available cut price deal, Wolves wanting 20 million, could get less for him. At the moment, Spurs seem to be in the driving seat for that, but reports saying that it's a possibility that we could look to hijack that deal. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I think Traore is one of those that is an exciting footballer. Yes, his end product is terrible, but there is a player in there, and I very much think that a top-level manager like Thomas Tuchel could get something out of him and perhaps do something similar to what Antonio Conte did with Victor Moses. I mean, we've been linked with Traore quite a lot over the years. Back in the Conte days when he was at Middlesbrough, and then again last summer where we didn't actually get him, and I think Tuchel was keen to get him. He's obviously a lot cheaper now, so I think that's possibly an option that the club could look to explore in the right wing-back area. But yeah, that's just a little update on those 2 players. And another player which perhaps we're looking at for the summer is that of Usman Dembele, the Barcelona and French forward. Again, very exciting player, burst onto the scene at Rennes, got that move to Borussia Dortmund like every top young player seems to do. He did very well there, has to be said, and he is an option for Chelsea. Again, undoubted ability there for sure. Thomas Tuchel's managed him before. It would be fairly risk-free with the fact that there'd be no transfer fee. My only issues with it are the fact the guy's injury record is really poor, always seems to be injured. We don't really want to be having another injured player. We've already got one in Christian Pulisic who's quite injury-prone. We don't want to be adding another attacker who is very injury-prone. I feel that, with his record, that we wouldn't want to be offering him a long contract on big wages. It would very much have to be heavily incentivized, a lot of bonuses based on kind of hitting certain appearances or goal contributions or whatever it is. But it's an exciting prospect. I do feel Chelsea need to freshen up that forward line. We've got too many players that are kind of going through the motions, not enough finished articles at the top end of the pitch. I'm not sure if Dembele really fits the bill, but if Tuchel wants him, we've got full trust in the manager So, I think if he wants him, then we go with the decision. As I said, it is fairly risk-free in terms of the fact that there's no transfer fee. So that's just a little bit of an update on the Chelsea transfer situation. Again, we should have more news in the coming days and weeks as the window heads towards the end. We do need to sort it out. But as I said, for more in-depth analysis, head to the channel and check out my stream last night with Jamie Wilkinson for more detailed thoughts. But moving ahead to the Carabao Cup semi-final, Chelsea in the driving seat, despite what Thomas Tuchel was saying in his press conference today when asked whether there was 1 foot in the final. He firmly said there were no feet in the final. But I think as a fan's perspective, I think we feel that we've got 1 in there, 1 foot in the final, did the job in the first leg. Tuchel surprised us with that 4-2-2 formation. I mean, very much due to the fact we didn't really have 3 fit centre-backs to field. So you can kind of understand why he went with that. And it did work very well. He blew Spurs away. Spurs were exceptionally poor. I wouldn't expect them to be this poor again. They'll be bang up for it. As cup semi-final is a lot more important to Tottenham than it is to Chelsea in terms of the fact that Spurs don't get opportunities to win trophies very often. We've got them up against the ropes. We just need to finish them off now. We could be 1 step away from a first League Cup final since Maurizio Sarri's days, and unfortunately we lost on penalties to Manchester City. So an opportunity to make our first final of the season, another trip to Wembley. I mean, Wembley's not been too kind to Chelsea over the years. That League Cup final that we lost I just referenced there. And then we've lost back-to-back FA Cup finals in the last 2 years there as well. So, it'd be great to get back there and kind of improve our record and get another trophy in the bag. The League Cup does get mocked, but I think it's a really good trophy to win. Jose Mourinho took it very seriously when he first arrived. He identified it that, you want to win at the first possible opportunity. And I feel that if we can win the League Cup, then, it breeds confidence into the team for the rest of the season. And I feel that this group is a group that needs to be motivated by keeping on winning just small trophies. We just keep moving, Club World Cup, League Cup, and the momentum keeps rolling. In terms of the team news for tomorrow night, Thiago Silva and N'Golo Kante are back in training after testing positive for COVID before the first leg. Other than that, there isn't really any other team news at all. Obviously, Ben Chilwell, long-term absentee. I think Trevor Chalobah is still out. He should be back for the City game at the weekend, possibly. So, it remains to be seen what happens with Kante and Silva. I mean, I'll just bring it up on the screen now. The Athletic reporting that Tuchel is considering risking Kante and Silva. I'll just bring that up on the screen now. So here it is here. Thomas Tuchel is considering gambling on N'Golo Kante and Thiago Silva for tomorrow night's semi-final against Spurs, according to The Athletic. Now, this is a difficult one for me. We're 2-0 up. We've got a big game against Manchester City at the weekend. For me, given Kante's record, I would not be risking him from the off. We wouldn't want to have a setback and then he's out of Manchester City at the weekend. If I was going to risk one of the two, I'd risk Thiago Silva. But personally, I probably wouldn't risk either of them. I think we've got ample cover. Obviously, come on to it when I pick my lineup, but we've got the likes of Saul, who's been playing very well in recent weeks. We've got Loftus-Cheek back to fitness. We've got Jorginho and we've got Kovacic. I feel that we can get by without risking Kante from the off tomorrow. But again, we should definitely have him as an option on the bench to kind of tie things up. And with Thiago Silva, I think, again, Malang Sarr's been good recently. Christensen's back to fitness. We've got Rudiger as well. I think Silva, again, doesn't really need to be risked from the off. And we could have him on the bench. But yeah, as I say, if I was going to risk one of them, I'd definitely obviously risk Silva over Kante for sure. A big negative for Spurs is the fact that Heung-min Son is going to miss the second leg. He went off injured in the first leg. So he'll miss that second leg, and he'll also miss the league fixture as well at the Bridge on January 23rd towards the end of the month. So that's a massive loss attacking-wise for Tottenham. Obviously, they've still got the likes of, Kane, Lucas Moura. I'm not sure who they'll put up there. I mean, I don't think Dele Alli's in favour. Bergwijn seems to be out of favour as well. I'm not sure what they'll do. They might go 3-5-2 with Kane and Moura. I don't think Tottenham will be as bad as they were in the first leg, but they're very much there for the taking. Conte has made an impact since he's gone there, but there's a lot of work to do, and they need to be backed in the window seriously because, otherwise that squad just isn't good enough. In terms of the game itself, though, it's a difficult one for Chelsea because 2-0, as is often said, is the worst scoreline in football. You know, it's a hard game to approach. Do we go there and kind of just sit back and try and defend that lead and risk, you know, letting in a goal and then suddenly it's 2-1 and then Spurs are getting up ahead of steam, the home fans are behind them, and it suddenly becomes a bit nervy. I think we need to personally go there as if it's 0-0 and attack the game, get a goal, go 3 clear in aggregate, and then it very much is, you know, just shut up shop and just play our game. You know, I think a goal is going to be needed tomorrow night. We haven't kept that many clean sheets recently, so I think we do need to score tomorrow night to be absolutely 100% sure of it. The thought of collapsing hasn't even crossed my mind. I very much feel that with the experience we've got in this squad, the amount of winners we've got, Thomas Tuchel as a manager who seems very switched on, is a winner himself, that we won't let this slip. So I'm very much not even letting that thought enter my mind. Key areas of the pitch, again, is always going to be the middle of the park. Are Tottenham going to go 3 in the middle with 2 up top with Son's absence? Are we going to get slightly overrun in there if we just go with a double pivot? We'll have to see. And again, the front end of the pitch is going to be crucial. Romelu Lukaku not fully firing. We need to get him back on top form. Yes, he scored against Chesterfield, but he did also look like he was a little bit low on confidence, did miss a couple of opportunities that I think a fully fit and confident Lukaku perhaps would have buried. So it's a big night for him tomorrow night. I don't know who's going to play either side. You'd imagine Mason Mount. He's been in good form recently. So hopefully he can pull a performance out of the bag. I didn't think he was that great in the first leg, but again, you know, you can't. The guys are just literally 23 the other day. It's a lot to ask of him, but he has delivered for Chelsea on numerous occasions. So I think tomorrow night is going to be another big night for him. So I'd imagine that, you know, Lukaku and Mount will play some part, and then the other positions kind of up for grabs, but really important in the final third. And then defensively as well, Harry Kane's not having the best of seasons, but he is very dangerous. We can't afford to give him, you know, a moment or two, because if we do, then he has got the ability to punish us. Son, as I said, is a massive miss for Tottenham. But, you know, this is a really big game for Chelsea. It's a big week as well, because we've got second leg tomorrow night, and then we've got Manchester City in the league on Saturday lunchtime. And then, unfortunately, the Premier League have shafted us and put a rescheduled Brighton game from the Club World Cup next Tuesday. You know, so, you know, thought we'd have a week off, but no, Premier League doing us dirty there. We could have easily played it on the Wednesday. But yeah, I'm not really sure what the reasoning is behind that. But it is what it is, and we deal with it. But it's a massive week for the club, and it could be not season defining, but very much shape how the season might go. It would be really poor and disappointing to let a 2-goal lead in a semi-final slip, particularly against Tottenham, of all people. I mean, we've got them kind of in the mud. We just need to fully bury their face in that mud, and then another trip to Wembley, which, as a fan, I'm very much looking forward to if we can get there. I'm not going to get too ahead of myself because the job is not fully done yet, but I'm very hopeful that it will be. I'm not expecting to see the 4-2-2 again tomorrow. I'm very much expecting a 3-4-3 again. I mean, there's scope potentially for a 3-5-2, but I wouldn't expect that from the off. I could maybe see that happening to kind of shut up shop towards the end of the game with our aggregate scoreline very much intact. But I wouldn't expect any kind of formation surprises from the off. Again, it's a big game for Romelu Lukaku. It's a big game for Kepa. And Tuchel was full of praise for Kepa today in the press conference. You know, he's saying that he's never seen him kind of low on confidence. You know, he's always felt that there's a good goalkeeper in there. He was asked today, a big few games coming up for Kepa. I'll just quickly read it out. I never experienced Kepa nervous, never, not one single day. I've never experienced him jealous. I never experienced him unhappy for his colleagues. Of course, his big competition in goal, but I never experienced him jealous or nervous. The good thing is that there was a very genuine trust once we needed him to play for us and once we let him play. I felt the same from him, that he was very calm and focused. That is what he does every single day. I had the feeling that he felt he doesn't need to show it over 90 minutes that he is capable. We trust him and he is capable. It is not easy in his position because there's not a lot of changes in the goalkeeping position. We have him and we're so happy to have him. This is maybe the difference. There's no extra sentence or speech from me. There's no special stuff. It's genuine trust, and we are just happy that he can show it because he will be ready to show it. And I think the kind of almost re-emergence of Kepa has been a massive credit to Thomas Tuchel. I know he's playing it down there, but I think he's managed the situation really well. You know, Kepa was in the mud under Lampard the confidence was low. I don't think he was treated that well, but he's now showing that Tuchel's put some faith in him. He's putting in some great performance on the pitch. So it's going to be another big night for him tomorrow. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing him put in a good performance between the sticks because, again, he's still young and it will take time. But I think there's a very good goalkeeper there. And again, Chelsea seem to be lucky. We've got two very good goalkeepers. So it's a good position to be in. But I mean, London derby, we shouldn't need any motivating for this. It's our arch rivals, Tottenham, away from home at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Players should be up for it. Fans will be bang up for it. And, you know, it's another chance to secure a day out of Wembley and a chance to secure another trophy. You know, I know it's only the League Cup per se, but, you know, it's another trophy. You want to win every trophy you're in, every trophy possible. And that winning mentality spreads. So the more you win, then, you know, the better it is for that dressing room. You get that winning feeling and you don't want to go long periods of time without experiencing it again. Chelsea have always been a club synonymous with winning, always win trophies. I think in the Abramovich era, we've not gone back-to-back seasons without a trophy. It just goes to show how remarkably successful we've been since Roman came in. And, you know, I fully expect us to make another final tomorrow. I really, really do. Do I expect a stiffer challenge from Tottenham? Absolutely. Do I expect them to turn us over? Absolutely not. It's Tottenham and it's a semi-final and we're Chelsea. You know, those sort of things do not happen, but we cannot go in with a complacent mindset. We do have to turn up professionally, act as if it's 0-0 and go out and try and win the game. Look, I take a draw now, 100%, don't get me wrong, but I do feel that we can't let complacency slip in. You know, the mentality of this squad has been questioned in the past, and it would be wrong for us to enter this game thinking it's done and just go through the motions, not having to turn up because we will get punished. So we must make sure that that doesn't happen. But yeah, as I say, I'm very confident that we can get the job done. We seem to have put our poor December form behind us. You know, we had a great performance in the first and a great performance against Liverpool. We convincingly beat Chesterfield as we should do. And we move into the second leg now, and confidence seems to be growing again at Stamford Bridge. You know, Tuchel's in a great place. The fans love him. Everyone's behind him. And the club seems to be in a really good place. And again, we've already won the Super Cup this season. If we could add a League Cup, add the Club World Cup, you know, just adding trophies on the way. It's what we need to do. And we've got an opportunity to win a lot of trophies this season. So this is the first one. So we can finish a job and get that second foot into the final. Then we face Arsenal or Liverpool if we can get there. I'd fancy us in a final against either of those as well. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on the game. I'm going to go into my lineup now. This is not what I think Thomas Tuchel will do. This is kind of what I would go with. Again, guys, if you're watching live, get involved in the chat. Let me know your thoughts on who you think should and shouldn't be starting. And I will pick my side. So I'll just bring the lineup up now. Okay, I've obviously just spoken about him, but in goal is going to be Kepa. Fairly obvious there. Another big night for him. And then perhaps a chance at redemption if we can make the final, because obviously last time out we made the final under Sarri. There was that famous scene where he refused to come off when he was going to be substituted off for the subsequent penalty shootout that we lost. Obviously, I don't think there'll be any repeats of that. But yeah, really, really good performance from Kepa in the first leg. He's been solid when called upon. And we can definitely trust him. So another big night for him, and I'm fully expecting him to deliver with his newfound confidence and newfound form. Moving on to the back three. Now, again, I believe there's no Trevor Chalobah. And Thiago Silva is back in training, but with a big game against Manchester City at the weekend, I personally wouldn't risk him. So for that reason, I'm going with Malang Sarr, who has been in fantastic form the last couple of games. Really good first leg against Tottenham, and he played well against Chesterfield as well. I'm going with Andreas Christensen to go into the heart of that back three. And I am then going with, obviously, the returning Antonio Rudiger, who had a well-earned rest at the weekend against Chesterfield. Again, I wouldn't be surprised potentially if we did see Thiago Silva from the off, but me personally, I feel with the big game coming up that I wouldn't be starting him from the off, and we've got a 2-goal cushion and we should have more than enough. And Malang Sarr has played every round of this cup competition. He's performed really well in his last couple of performances, as I said. So yeah, he fully deserves to keep his place. And obviously Rudiger naturally comes back in, been one of our standout performers since Thomas Tuchel came in. And hopefully that contract situation, one way or another, will be resolved at some point soon. Moving on to the fullbacks, right wing back, I fully expect Cesar Azpilicueta to play there. Again, we saw Callum Hudson-Odoi there at the weekend. I think that was very much a case of resting players and the fact that it was Chesterfield. I don't think Christian Pulisic, who has done a job there and filled in, is going to be played there in this game, but I could be wrong. I think this is a game for Azpilicueta. Yes, his legs are going a bit. He is that bit older, but I think defensively, we want the best defender in that position to combat the attacking threat that Tottenham may pose. So, yeah, for me, Azpilicueta at right wing back until someone else comes in. Hopefully, an update on that will come soon, as I touched on at the top of the show. So, Azpilicueta to fill in at right wing back tomorrow. And then we go to, obviously, left wing back. We only have one option, and that will be Marcos Alonso. And I have to say, yes, he is a bit of a scapegoat amongst Chelsea fans. We do acknowledge that he's probably not of the required standard. Simon saying here, Cho to play again. Do you mean as in at right wing back, or do you mean in the front three? Reece James, when's James due back? Well, James picked up that injury. I can't remember who picked up that injury against. I think it might have been against Liverpool. So, and it was 6 to 8 weeks from that game. Again, in 6 to 8 weeks' time, that'll probably be back in training. He won't be back playing, so it could be between 2 to 3 months. I wouldn't expect to see Reece James potentially until the back end of February, but again, I could be wrong on that one. But yeah, Marcos Alonso is capable. He has performed well in the last few games. He's got a much needed rest against Chesterfield at the weekend, so he should be fit and ready to go. So hopefully he can continue his slight resurgence in form and put in another solid performance. Moving on to the midfield 2 now. For me, I know Sam Niguez has played really well recently, and he did start that first leg, and I wouldn't be surprised if he did start. But for me, I'm going to go with, I wouldn't personally start him. I'm going to go with Kovacic, who has been outstanding since he's come back. A really good performance against Liverpool. Again, solid in that first leg. Captained the side in the first half against Chesterfield. Looked the best, one of the best players on the pitch. So yeah, for me, he slots in one of our most important midfield players and someone that offers something a little bit different in that midfield. And alongside him, I would go with the conductor, Jorginho. Again, he's had a fantastic season. He's done really well for Chelsea. He had a bit of a rest at the weekend, I believe, or he might have come on a sub. I can't remember. I don't think he did. Jorginho to play alongside. I mean, don't really need to say too much about him. He's won over, pretty much all the Chelsea fans. I'm sure there might be a small portion of so-called fans that don't like him, but I think he's more than shown his worth to the team. Yes, you could argue that we play at a higher tempo when he doesn't play in midfield, but he's very important to the way this side plays. He's got a great penalty on him. God forbid if it went to penalties, or if we get a penalty in the game, then you'd obviously back him to slot it. But I'd stick with Kovacic and Jorginho. I think, as I touched on beforehand, I wouldn't risk Kante in this, particularly from the off. Kante, come on by all means to help tie the game up and put it to bed, but I wouldn't risk him from the start just based on the fact the big game at the weekend, which I'd much rather him be fresher for than this particular game. And Sam Niguez unlucky to miss out on my starting lineup. Tuchel could go with him. He has had somewhat of a resurgence in recent weeks, and with a Saturday lunchtime game, it is a high chance that he could possibly start. I wouldn't be surprised to see that, but I would go with those two in the midfield for those reasons. I just think it gives us a nice, balance of control and kind of craft in the midfield. Kovacic providing a bit more guile going forward with his range of passing and his, and his runs from midfield, which Jorginho doesn't necessarily have. Moving into the front three then. Now, for me, Mason Mount will definitely play. Whether it's on the right or left-hand side, we'll have to see. Mount will play, wasn't involved at the weekend. The much-needed rest for him. Again, he has played a lot of football recently, so it's good for him to have a weekend off, a little bit of time to recharge the batteries before, our busy period comes up, sort of rest of this month. February is absolutely packed for the club. I won't bother bringing that up on the screen yet. I'll save that for another time. But we've got a lot of fixtures coming up in February. So, yeah, Mason Mount, Cobham boy, turned 23 the other day. Another big occasion for him. He seems to love the big occasion. Knows what this rivalry means. And he has added a lot more goals and assists and, contributions to his game. So, that's a big plus, and hopefully that can continue. But I think he's a shoo-in for most big games, Mason Mount. He really is. So I would expect him to play on the right-hand side. The centre forward will be, in my opinion, will 100% be Romelu Lukaku. We've obviously put that drama to bed of the interview. I mean, yeah, that wasn't great for the club. I think Thomas Tuchel and the club dealt with it really well. I'm not going to go into that again. Lukaku started at the weekend. He did get a goal, which will help his confidence. But again, he did miss a few opportunities, as I touched on, and he's not quite there yet. He needs to work, and we need to work to get the best out of him and fully integrate him into the system and get him firing, because I fully believe that when we do get him firing, he will make a big difference to us. It's exactly what we are missing and why we spent up almost £100 million on him, because realistically, he's almost the only one that you can rely on in a goal-scoring situation to actually put the ball into the back of the net. So I've got Mount and Lukaku there as my front. There's two of my front three. This third one's difficult because, again, Hakim Ziyech played in the Cup in the week. He did play in that first leg as well, perhaps more due to the hybrid system and people missing out. But he had a really good game in that first leg. I thought he was okay against Chesterfield in the Cup. He did score from the penalty spot. I wouldn't be surprised to see him start. But then again, I also wouldn't be surprised to see Werner start, and I wouldn't be surprised to see, Hudson, Odoi, Pulisic, or Havertz, one of those four. I don't think it will be Havertz. I think Havertz will be on the bench. I think there's perhaps more chance of seeing Havertz on the weekend. But again, you just don't know. I mean, Callum Hudson-Odoi got about 75 odd minutes against Chesterfield at the weekend, did score a very good goal. He was taken off as a very, very precautionary measure for an Achilles issue, the one that's hampered him before and kept him out for a long time. I don't know. It's difficult. I'm not sure if Tuchel's going to have half an eye on the game Saturday lunchtime, but I always remember a quote that Sir Alex Ferguson said, that always start with your best players and then you can take them off. So you don't want to be chucking your best players on chasing a game. So I would go as strong as possible. And then with 5 substitutes as well in this, we've got the opportunity to rest a lot more players than we would if it was just the 3 in the league. So for me, this left-hand side is difficult. Yes, Cho, I perhaps would go with him, but Pulisic's not been bad in recent weeks. And Tuchel was quite complimentary of him in the press conference today when asked about how he's been used recently and what he can offer to the side. This is really tough. I mean, guys, if you're watching in the chat, get involved, help me out. Who do you think should play on this left-hand side? I mean, it's a tough one. Hudson-Odoi, Pulisic or Werner. I mean, Werner, again, he came back in the second half, looked sharp in the first leg. He was okay against Chesterfield. He did score a tap-in, but again, he did miss a couple of opportunities, and he just always seems to run with his head down. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he played. It's the sort of game that he could do quite well in, but then again, perhaps he'd be quite well suited to the Manchester City game as well. It's a difficult one. I'm going to go with Callum Hudson-Odoi. I could be wrong here. Oh, am I going to go with Callum Hudson-Odoi? I've started typing it now. Yeah, I'm going to trust my gut. I'm going to go with Hudson-Odoi. Again, if anything's going to be wrong, I'd probably say it's going to be this position. I wouldn't be surprised if any of them started, to be perfectly honest. But I mean, looking at that lineup, that, as I said, is more than enough to get the job done. It looks pretty strong. And as I just touched on, having the 5 subs is going to be a big plus. Lewis Hall as well. We could see him in the matchday squad on the bench. He's not involved with the under-21s tonight in the Papa John's match against Arsenal at the Emirates. He's still in training with the first team. I wouldn't expect him to start. I'd be very, very surprised if he started, but I would expect him to be involved in the matchday squad and be on the bench and maybe come on for some minutes. If we're cruising and the tie's put to bed, then it'd be great to see him get some more first team football. But yeah, he's still training with the first team, so that would indicate that perhaps he will be involved in the matchday squad in some way. But 5 substitutes is a big plus. And having a 2-goal cushion is a massive plus as well. So we can go into this game feeling confident. That is my lineup. Again, guys, if you're watching live, let me know your thoughts in the chat. If you're going to be watching it back, let me know your thoughts in the comments if you agree or disagree with what I've gone with here. But that should be more than enough to see Chelsea through to the Carabao Cup final. Before I round off then, I'm just going to give a score prediction. We are 2-0 up from the first leg. I feel that, we've got a good record at Tottenham. I don't think we've lost at the new stadium. Yes, we went out on penalties in the Carabao Cup to them last year, but we did draw that game 1-1, I believe. So I'm feeling confident. 2-goal cushion. I'm going to go for I think Spurs might score potentially. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Chelsea win, 4-1 on aggregate overall, and another trip to Wembley for the Chelsea. Guys, before I go, please do smash a like on this video. If you've been watching live, if you've not smashed a like or subscribed to the channel, please do that. It really helps me out. I appreciate all the support. The channel is growing, aiming to get to 300 subscribers by the end of this month, and we're currently on 243. So please do hit that subscribe button. Want to hit 250 by the end of the week. Spread the word. Click that subscribe button. I really appreciate all of your support. And guys, we'll catch you on Thursday lunchtime in the Carabao Cup review and hopefully celebrating a place in the final. Up the Chelsea as always. Cheers for tuning in. Catch you again soon.